Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet, good morning to you. Kyle Evans coming to you, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Maps coach, bolt coach, all the things ready for our daily dose, our daily checkup from the neck up here on the G.R.O.W Show. Guys, this week we've been talking about pain, talked about the gift of pain. Yesterday we talked about setbacks, what to do when they happen. Today, on that thread, on that theme, we're going to be talking about something that may be a little controversial. So before I give you the title, the direction of the show, I must preface that we are looking at feedback. We are looking at criticism. We are looking at things that people say. And our goal, my intention for this episode, is for you to start looking at it through a place of wisdom. This show is not about ego. It's not about pride. It's about discernment. And so my title for today is, if you don't have haters, are you even doing anything? The myth of universal approval. Start with something uncomfortable. If you are universally liked, you're probably universally ignored. Mic drop. If you are universally liked, you're probably universally ignored. You probably don't stand for anything. We live in a culture where people are chasing likes, follows, applause, golf claps. But here's the paradox, ladies and gentlemen. The more approval you seek, the less impact you usually create. The more approval you seek, the more you crave it, the more that's your only intention, usually the less impact you create, because impact, more often than not, requires disruption. It requires shaking the status quo. It requires not fitting in a box. It requires saying something, doing something, building something that unsettles the safe and the comfortable. I want you to think about it like this. Nobody boos the bench warmer. Nobody blogs about the company that didn't change anything. Nobody writes think pieces about the leader who blended into the wallpaper. If you're not collecting a few critics, you're likely not pushing hard enough. You're likely not standing for something. I think there's an opportunity for all of us here. But how do we get there? How do we look at the wisdom in it? How do we take the ego out of it and look at it for our betterment? Those are some of the things that we're going to dive into. I want to start off with some case studies. Let's take this out of theory and show you some real life examples of the haters, if you will, because the great ones are people who achieved great things, whether you would classify them as a great person or not. People who achieved great things, they all had haters. Let's start with the House of the Mouse, ladies and gentlemen. Walt Disney, fired, canned, let go, sent off into the great beyond from a newspaper job for lacking imagination. Walt Disney. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. I am pretty certain that an entire department of Disney is now called the Imagineers. He wasn't still salty. Later, every banker in town rejected him for Disney World. They said the idea was too risky. Imagine that. Disney World, the most visited destination on the planet Earth, was too risky. The louder the rejection, the bigger the disruption he was carrying. Oprah Winfrey, early in her career, she was told she wasn't fit for television. Think about that. Touted as one of the best communicators and connectors, literally of our time, and she was told that she didn't belong on the screen. When I tell you to take the ego out of it, here's the thing. That rejection forced her to work on her delivery and work on her ability to build authenticity. It's the authenticity that helped her build the empire. Elon Musk, love him or hate him, he basically built a career on being laughed at. PayPal was mocked. PayPal. Tesla was called a toy at first. SpaceX was considered a billionaire's hobby. And yet, each industry he was ridiculed in is now the very industry he transformed. The ridicule, the hate, mapped directly to his revolution. Are you fitting in a box you don't belong into, ladies and gentlemen? MJ, Michael Jordan, the GOAT, the actual GOAT. Sorry, LeBron. In high school, he was cut from the varsity team. We've heard this before. People love to romanticize it now, right? But in the moment, he was told flat out he wasn't good enough. Can you imagine if he accepted that? Can you imagine if he said, you know what, guys? You're right. I'm just not good enough. We would have never had the flu game. We would have never had the wonderful shoe that crests my foot, even as we speak, Air Jordans, the ones. Instead, he turned the rejection into fuel. Every hater became another log on his fire that drove him to become the greatest to ever do it. The lesson is simple. The hate isn't a detour. More often than not, it might be a reliable road sign. It might be saying that you're on the right direction. Again, I need to ground our feet here. I am not saying that if people are telling you that you're not doing it good, that you might just be doing it good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we have to use discernment. We have to feel where our DNA is. We have to understand the feedback that we're getting and make sure that it is serving us, that there is something we should be doing with it, that we maybe need to build on it. Maybe it's actually uncovering a hole or a blind spot you don't have, something you do need to work on. That's the tricky part here. That's the nuance with this. Not all feedback is bad. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is sometimes if you're rocking the boat, it may be for the good. Let's talk about the psychology of it. Where does hate come from? Hate, or the haters, the bad criticism, a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, it's not necessarily about you. Granted, like I said, the feedback may actually be for you and you might actually need it. However, if that's not the case, this feedback, the haterade that people like to drink, especially in today's society, it may actually be about them. You see, one of the things with that is the projection of insecurity. When you step into boldness, when you step into the calling, when you step into your own ness, sometimes, unfortunately, it shines a light on someone else's timidity. Sometimes, unfortunately, it shines a light on someone else's lack of courage. See, sometimes the hate that you get is the jealousy of the courage that you have. Because sometimes when you chase a dream, when you know who you are, and when you are comfortable with what you do and the gifts that you've been given and the thing that you desire, and you know what you're here to do, it reminds others of the courage that they're not using. You see, sometimes hate's not necessarily about insecurity or their jealousy of courage. Sometimes, guys, it's about the fear of disruption. Sometimes it's simply about someone coming in and changing the status quo, and that's fearful for some people or fear inducing, because when you change, it forces people to have to change as well. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet, I don't know if you're aware of this. Everybody doesn't like change. They don't. See, sometimes that haterade is simply just the fear of disruption. Here's the reframe. Hate is free market research. It's free market research. It means that you're visible. It means that you're doing something. It means that you might be on the path to major relevancy. But there's a critical difference, and I cannot underline this enough. Constructive criticism is important. Constructive criticism, constructive feedback is the breakfast of champions. We should be looking for feedback. Ain't nobody perfect. You can always get better. You should be craving that constructive feedback. Do not get lost in the weeds here. The difference is constructive feedback versus destructive noise. Constructive criticism, that's your coach, that's your mentor. Maybe it's your trusted friend, your spouse saying, hey, bro, love you, mean it. That's a blind spot. Hey, you are great at this, and you could be even better if you fix this. That's fantastic. We should be looking for that. That's feedback to grow. Destructive noise, though, that's the peanut gallery throwing rocks from the cheap seats. They're not in the game. They're not the man or the woman in the arena. They're not bleeding on the field, and their words don't deserve rent-free space in your head. Haters scream from the stands. Builders speak from the trenches. If you've ever felt this way, or even the fear of doing something because you may face that hate and it's keeping you stuck, I want to give you some ideas on how to handle the hate, how to handle the heat, how to handle the criticism. The real question is, when the heat comes, are you ready for it? First and foremost, I want you to build fireproof skin, not a bubble. I want you to build fireproof skin, not a bubble. I don't want you to try to avoid criticism. That's not what this is about. I want you to expect it. The goal isn't insulation, it's resilience. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations to block the noise. He wrote it to process it, to transform it into wisdom, to use discernment on the feedback received and say, hey, this is for me, this isn't. It's not to get away from feedback altogether. Build fireproof skin, not a bubble. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, you need a little bit of medicine. Sometimes you need a little bit of that feedback. We're building tougher skin, not a bubble. The second one is reframe the boos as applause in disguise. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, that haterade often means recognition. Means they noticed. Means they see. Tom Brady, one of the GOATs of football, I'll just say it. He was booed in rival stadiums his entire career. People still hate on Brady. I'm saying that now, and some of your stomachs are turning. You're like, oh, Tom Brady. Huh? Like, you got to respect him, though. The boos mainly came from people feared what he was going to do to their teams. The boos were actually respect. It was actually applause in disguise. The third one for how to handle the heat, and I cannot, stress this one enough. Choose your coaches. Choose your coaches. Choose your coaches, not your critics. Choose your coaches, not your critics. The danger isn't the hate itself. The danger is listening to the wrong voices. I want you to build your personal board of truth. Your personal board of truth tellers. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't say choose your cheerleaders. I said choose your coaches, because your board of truth, the people who want the best for you, the people who see the best in you, the people who know what you could be capable of, they ain't going to tell you everything you want to hear. That's beautiful. We need that. We need that. But you got to find the people who care and who can see the beauty, the strength, the potential that you have inside. Everyone else, it's a static noise. There's a awesome lady named Antoinette Perez, right? And she has this great little book here. If you're looking for a nice quick read, Tiny Talks, Big Impact. One of the things she taught me, and we were talking about feedback one time, is she said, imagine feedback like football game, and a pass comes your way. When the ball comes, you have a couple choices. You can catch it, receive it, do something with it, or you can let it go by. You can just drop it. You can realize that it wasn't for you. That's not your past. But you have to be self aware. You have to be humble. You can't be super egotistical in this. You have to ask yourself the tough question, where's my DNA on this? Or the number one question behind it is, what is the actual truth in this statement or in this feedback, in this hate? You need to choose your coaches, people who are going to give you the raw, unbridled truth, but it's coming from a place of care, from a place of support. Constructive criticism wins the day. Destructive noise keeps you stuck. Choose your coaches, not your critics. Coaches, not cheerleaders, ladies and gentlemen. Number 4, I want you to channel the fire into proof of progress. Every rejection, every insult, every doubt can be logged as proof that you're in the arena, that you're doing something, that somewhere inside of you, you're like, I can do hard things, and I refuse to be stagnant. I refuse to hide. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm dang sure somebody's bowl of gumbo. Sarah Blakely, absolute, I can't curse, baller of Spanx, right? She kept a failure journal. Every rejection went in there. To her, failure wasn't shame. It was evidence that she was trying, that she was moving, that she was creating. Handling the heat doesn't mean extinguishing it. It means learning how to burn without being consumed. Again, my goal is not to insulate you. My goal is to build your wisdom and your discernment. So let me ask you, landing this plane, where in your life are you playing small just to avoid criticism? Where in your life are you playing small just to avoid criticism? Just an open book here. One of my number one criticisms from people is he seems fake. Like, what? And then people get to know me and they're like, that dude's about that life. Don't let people who don't know you, people who don't want the best for you, keep you small. Don't let them narrate your story for you. Keep innovating, keep pushing, keep growing, keep raising your hand, keep knocking on the door even when they close it. Walt Disney was fired for lack of imagination, ladies and gentlemen. Where in your life are you playing small just to avoid criticism? Where are you choosing comfort over your calling? If you are waiting for universal approval, you will be waiting your entire life. But if you are willing just to step in the fire and not build a bubble, but build fireproof skin, haters and all, you're going to find the very resistance you feared is evidence that you're building something that matters. The boos from the cheap seats, they only prove that you're on the field. So yeah, if you don't have haters, are you even doing anything? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet, Coach Kyle Evans coming at you. And let me tell you something. I believe in you. There's my criticism for you for the day. I believe in you. Go do it. Go do the things. Stop choosing comfort. Step into your calling. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.